What if the big three ended up in Chicago instead of Miami? So it's 2010, and the 25-year-old LeBron James is looking to become a free agent for the first time in his career. The Cavs had just lost the conference semifinals to the Boston Celtics, and it was clear in that series that LeBron had no help. Now, Steve, I got a question for you. Who was the Cavs' second leading scorer in that series?
Was it probably Ilgauskas?
No, it wasn't Ilgauskas. It was a 37-year-old Shaquille O'Neal.
That weird year.
So things became very clear that the Cavs weren't going to win with LeBron. So LeBron had a decision to make. It was time to test free agency. Now, to give a little bit more context to the situation, we got to go back 2 more years to the 2008 Summer Olympics with the gold medal Redeem team that was led by LeBron James, the leading scorer on the team, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh. At the time, all 3 of those players were targeted to be free agents together in 2010, and they came up with an idea. What if we teamed up together?
I wonder if there's a collusion example for this year's Olympics team.
It would be like Edwards, Booker, Bam, maybe. Bam was one of the big guys.
Yeah, it's like who was he close? Who was Ant closest with was KD.
Also, you got to think free agency here because Bosh, Wade, LeBron were all rookie draft class together.
So back to 2010, and LeBron is taking meetings with all different teams in the NBA. He's meeting with the Nets, he's meeting with the Knicks, the Heat, the Clippers, and also the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Bulls were looking to be aggressive in free agency this year. They already had a young Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah on rookie deals, so they could build a team around those 2 players and fill out their lineup. Dwyane Wade really wanted to go back to Chicago because that's where he's from. And they were willing to make the cap space work to bring him and maybe one other superstar in. But that wasn't good enough for Dwyane Wade, who really tried to convince Chicago ownership to shed enough salary so they could bring in 3 superstars. So now they have to pitch their team to LeBron, and apparently Chicago really fumbled the pitch. Derrick Rose didn't even show up to the pitch. He just sent a video in with his response. Joakim Noah called LeBron to leave him a message. LeBron never called him back.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Derrick Rose thing kind of checks out, I feel like, with his personality.
Bosh and Wade both signed with the Heat, and LeBron then follows suit. But what would happen if the Bulls made the cap space work and signed the big 3?
LeBron James MJ debates would be crazy if he played for the Bulls. So making the money work, I assume, meant Luol Deng's gone.
Yeah, Luol Deng is gone. So here's the deal. So in order to bring in Chris Bosh, they trade away Luol Deng in a sign-and trade with the Toronto Raptors, along with their first-round pick in the 2011 draft, Jimmy Butler. So the starting 5 is Derrick Rose at point, Dwyane Wade at the 2, LeBron James at the 3, Chris Bosh at the 4, and Joakim Noah at 5.
So then Boozer never signs with the Bulls.
So no, Boozer doesn't sign with the Bulls. In this scenario, after losing out on LeBron James, the Knicks decide to go all in on their front court. They bring in Amari Stoudemire and Carlos Boozer to really have the best big men in the league.
I remember there being Knicks Boozer interest at that time. The Knicks were kind of like, yeah, we'll go for anyone as a consolation prize if we don't get LeBron.
So now the Bulls have to fill out their roster around, their starting 5. They have Taj Gibson, who they just drafted the year previous, and they do what the Heat did and just bring in 1 million veterans on vet minimums.
Tell me this, did they get Kyle Korver?
They do not get Kyle Korver. He ends up signing elsewhere.
They don't get Korver. Okay.
Do they pull Chris Birdman Anderson?
They probably get a lot of the Heat random guys, I assume.
Now the Bulls, they're the team to beat in the East this year. And they prove that the East is no problem. In fact, they prove that the Eastern Conference is no problem in the playoffs. They beat the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals and make the NBA Finals.
Just the sheer athleticism on this team would kind of cover everything else as far as spacing concerns. But I think maybe the spacing is just more of a 2026 look at an era where that was just much less emphasized.
So this season, the Heat lost to the Dallas Mavericks in real life. I think Tyson Chandler's, his effect on that series is lessened by the fact that they have Joakim Noah in the post. It's like they might kind of cancel each other out a little bit. Not to get ahead of myself, but I personally like that Bulls team to win the finals year 1 while LeBron lost in year 1 with the Heat.
So the Bulls do get to the championship against the Dallas Mavericks. And this time with Derrick Rose's athleticism and Joakim Noah's defense, LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh team is able to defeat the Mavericks and win their first championship. Now here's an unintended consequence of our actions. In the 2010-2011 season, Carmelo Anthony got traded to the New York Knicks. However, in our reality, the New York Knicks don't have the cap space after signing Carlos Boozer that offseason. Therefore, Carmelo Anthony finds himself going to the East Coast, but to the New Jersey Nets to be paired with Brook Lopez. So now moving forward to that offseason, and while winning can cure most ailments, it doesn't cure them all. LeBron James and Joakim Noah still kind of hate each other. As well, Joakim Noah has only 1 year left on his deal, and the Bulls have so much money tied up in their big three, they can't afford to sign him to an extension. So the Bulls trade Joakim Noah to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Serge Ibaka.
So the Thunder get Joakim Noah with Durant and Westbrook.
If the Thunder do trade for Joakim Noah and re-sign him, presumably that would still just be the Serge Ibaka extension that it did inevitably sign him to. Maybe albeit like slightly less money just because of the years, but yeah, that's interesting.
So with Joakim Noah, the Thunder are able to make the finals still and face off against the same Chicago Bulls team with LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh. So not too dissimilar from reality. Even with Serge Ibaka, the Bulls are still a very good team. And the Chicago Bulls are able to hold off the Thunder and win back-to-back championships. And now the LeBron James Chicago Bulls are a mini dynasty of their own. So here's where things get really interesting. Derrick Rose, who never really wanted the big three to come to Chicago anyway, he wanted his own team. He decides enough is enough. It's time for me to make my own stand. So he forces a trade out of Chicago to the Houston Rockets to play for Mike D'Antoni.
Who'd they get for Derrick Rose?
They get like a similar package to what the Rockets ended up giving up for James Harden. Meanwhile, the Thunder still need to move James Harden because KD and Russell Westbrook are about to get expensive. Plus, they gave Joakim Noah a little bit of money. So this was the thing that actually did almost happen. The Oklahoma City Thunder send James Harden to the Washington Wizards for the 3rd overall pick, which would be Bradley Beal.
Okay, that's a fun backcourt.
So back in Chicago, and the Bulls are kind of in cap hell. They have these 3 big contracts that they have to build a team around. So they're bringing in more and more vets on minimum deals. Ray Allen comes in to help with guard depth, and Jason Kidd is still chasing his first ring after not winning with the Mavericks. However, that 3rd season in a Tom Thibodeau rotation is starting to add up for the big three, especially because they have no depth. Injuries, fatigue, it all adds up throughout the course of a season, and unfortunately, the Chicago Bulls fall just short of winning 3 in a row, losing in the championship to the Spurs after Ray Allen misses a 3 in Game 6.
It's a good point about the Thibodeau minutes wearing down a team that's very top heavy, because even if the team's presumably not top heavy, they still get worn down by the Thibs strategy. And I can see how a team where Chris Bosh was sort of starting to get pretty injury prone at this point in the Heat timeline, so I can see how things would start to break down with this hypothetical Bulls team as well.
I feel that this is a time when the Bulls could start deteriorating and going downhill a little bit.
So from there, a lot of lines can be drawn. Maybe with Carmelo Anthony, the Nets don't feel the need to trade for KG and Paul Pierce. So Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are never Celtics. John Wall and James Harden become one of the best backcourt duos in the league, and the Wizards become an NBA Finals contender. And now a little bit older, Derrick Rose is still able to win MVP in Houston, similar to what James Harden did in Mike D'Antoni's offense. And Derrick Rose becomes a surefire Hall of Famer with 2 rings and an MVP. And who knows what happens with the Bulls at that point? Maybe the writing's on the wall for the team and players start forcing their way out. But all we know is that the league would have been incredibly different had the big three decided to take their talent to Chicago.
So this was an interesting hypothetical. If you want to think about other hypotheticals of maybe a player who made a ton of bad decisions, then check out this video where we break down every bad decision that Ja Morant has done in his career.